What if your bank could become the most profitable and leading bank within every area that you do business with? What if your bankers would become highly proactive, would be accountable for results, be able to distill and articulate a point of difference unlike anybody else in the industry that persuades and attracts more clients? What if they would plan thoroughly and execute on their plan so that they get major outcomes secured for your bank and also overcome self-limiting beliefs? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. My name is Bram. I'm the Managing Director of a company called Lagrou Partners. And what we do is we specialize in working with professional and financial services to make them more profitable. Now, one of the things that you may have noticed by the mere fact of the questions I asked you is that in our work with several bankers, both here as well as interstate, and a lot of companies in related industries, is that the most important challenges that these organizations face is to make people accountable. It is to make people take responsibility for producing results, and as opposed to getting busy being busy, busy being stuck in activities, as opposed to busy being creating results and being productive. So busy being productive as opposed to busy being busy are two very, very distinct things. And I'm sure that you understand this as well. So the challenges are really is to overcome those things and also to ensure that bankers not just can explain why it makes sense to do business with them and their bank, but also to demonstrate that very clearly early on and throughout the interactions with potential new clients and existing ones, so that they completely differentiate themselves already in the eyes of the beholder, which is the client. The challenge is if a non-banking client, a client operating in manufacturing, in retail, in hospitality, in other financial services, somebody in real estate, whoever it is, the challenge is that these people, they speak a different language, and they need to be persuaded by deeds, by actions. Actions speak louder than words alone. So being able to convey why it is that it makes sense to do business with this particular bank is one thing, but then actually demonstrate it in such a powerful and attractive way for a potential new client, that is probably where the challenges lie. For a client who again is not a banker himself, for him or her, all bankers talk the same. They have similar products, interest rates are very similar, the terms and conditions may be similar as well. So in terms of products, there's not enough difference, because every time when somebody comes up with a product, another bank will somehow match it up again, and the competitive difference is not necessarily again in the product. The competitive difference is in the way that the bankers develop their relationships and how they convey that message indirectly. So the point of difference is a major challenge again. Next, a fourth challenge that we've noticed is that having a good plan in place is one thing. Now, most of the time what we've noticed is that banks from higher up, what I call sometimes the ivory tower, have got great strategic plans in place. They then go back to the troops, the relationship managers, the frontline bank managers, the branch managers and so on, the mortgage lending managers, the state managers. They will start to really convey that and just try to filter it down. And it's a top-down driven approach, which then is in a way sometimes led to be a recipe for disaster, for the simple reason that when you see that the execution bit fails, it is because something was missing along the lines. And this is again where the challenge lies. Having a great plan in place, but one that actually your staff, your troops are inspired on to carry it out and execute it so that you achieve the outcomes that you had set yourself in the first place, that is a challenge. Next, number 5, overcoming self-limiting beliefs is the last and remaining one. Across banking, insurance, mortgage broking, financial planning, all of the related professional financial services, even lawyers, accountants, and so on. All of these experts who haven't got a specific commodity to trade or a tangible product to trade. What we've noticed is that, again, because the people themselves are so important, is that the biggest challenge or the roadblock that lies between a successful sale and an unsuccessful one is the self-limiting beliefs of our people. For example, we sometimes say that people are their own worst enemy, and especially in business development and sales, this is more true than anywhere else. It is the confidence and the self-esteem and the thoughts of being able to do it and pull it off and believing in oneself that either make it happen or will keep us from making it happen altogether. So 5 challenges for us to look at. Let's now look at 3 trends that will help you in your business here to plan for the future, as well as 3 strategic initiatives that have already been proven to work very well for people in banking and all related industries as well. The 3 major trends that we've observed are the following. Number 1, banks have classically invested lots of money, huge budgets, and allocated them to classical types of marketing, call it advertising. In a way, we could say that advertising creates monologues. It is a company pushing a message down to consumers and users or clients, and the client doesn't say anything back. Now, obviously, in a highly interactive and competitive landscape that we operate in right now, full with social media, the best companies, whether they're in banking or elsewhere, they are looking for engagement. The key word is engagement. Monologues don't work anymore, it's looking for dialogues. So if you can somehow bring people into a conversation, as we know when we invite people for a coffee to investigate business opportunities, we know that by having these conversations, we may eventually have business coming our way. The same thing happens for marketing. What would happen now if suddenly a part of our classical marketing budget, our advertising budget, would be somehow invested in different approaches, in innovative programs to create this dialogue with our consumers, with our target clients? This is where our funds perhaps will be paying off much more than we've previously anticipated. Quite frankly, I personally wouldn't be lured by a message, a beautiful statement that a bank tells me, because there's not much to it. It is air in its promises, and because people like to do business with certain people, it's really having the dialogue that allows us to filter through and have something going back and forth. So social media are proof of it. We know that certain people have built businesses and tremendously grew those businesses within a very short period of time on the back of social engagement. Think about a company like Amazon or eBay, how they started off, or Google, and how they, through engaging with people, not just close by who we would easily have a coffee with, but leveraging all this beautiful technology to the benefit of both the people who are looking for certain services that your bank could help them with, and then somehow also making sure that your bank prospers as a result. It's a win-win for everybody. But number 1, the trend is to walk away from advertising only, where monologues are held, and moving more towards a dialogue. And social media, again, is something that more and more banks are at least experimenting with, albeit very cautiously, and mostly concerned about the risk of what could go wrong rather than looking at how the opportunities could work in their favor. But anyway, this is a huge trend that we are now noticing that is creating or making big inroads worldwide in banking and financial services. The second one is centers of influence. We obviously know, and banks have classically invested in partnerships, but what about strategic partnerships that are now so well developed and where mutual interests are so clearly articulated up front that within a very short period of time you can create way more qualified leads for each department, whether it's mortgage broking, whether the mortgage side of things, house lending, or it is corporate financing, or it is, for example, retail, any of those small business banking, all of those centers of influence, put the right people in the room on an ongoing basis, create masterminds, and make sure that those meetings are guided by certain principles. And you would be amazed to see how much extra business this can generate within as little as 12 months. It takes some time to get those people up to up to speed together, but once they are, it just keeps trickling down. Excellent pipeline, and it's a major way to invest your marketing dollars into a more innovative way of doing business. Trend number 3 is the service experience. More and more companies are, let's say, at least having a conversation, and sometimes even go to thought leadership type of events to talk about what the experience should look like. And customer service programs are rolled out in training programs and so on. We're not talking necessarily about this. What we are talking about is to reinvent not just our own approach in our own bank or other financial service firm. We are looking to actually reinvent the industry by looking at best practices elsewhere and just ask ourselves better questions that lead to better answers. What we've noticed, for example, is by the work that we've done with other organizations, is that the customer service experience, for example, in aviation, back a long time ago, there was a company called SAS that was pretty much on its knees because of the very in-depth competition with bigger aircraft flyers elsewhere. Now, back in the days, a certain CEO came in who was very customer service centered, and within 18 months he was able to take SAS from a profit, or sorry, from a net making net losses, into a number 1 performer who became a role model worldwide for the aviation industry, and became hyper successful and hyper profitable by the introduction of one key product, which was first class, but the entire product was underpinned by premium prices with premium services that exceeded the needs and wants of the clients, and that greatly outranked and just outperformed anything else that was on the market. The question is now back to you. If you're looking at the trends and knowing that the product in itself doesn't differentiate itself big enough, how could you create the experience in such a way that you become the role model and recreate the industry? We now look at 3 strategic initiatives that you also can implement in your bank. Strategic objective number 1. We spoke earlier about self-limiting beliefs, about planning and executing, and also being proactive about it rather than reactive. Well, we've noticed that when banks and bankers become more self-motivated or self-directed, when personal leadership becomes part of their DNA, and not just about the individual DNA, but about the team, the branch, the state, as well as the whole. Once that personal leadership becomes fully embedded in the entire culture and the modus operandi of the bank, suddenly you will see that the greatest achievements come through, because suddenly there is all 4 elements, being mind, emotions, time, use of time, and activities, somehow are all geared towards producing outcomes and do it in an exceptional way. Now, we've done quite a bit of work over the last 4.5 years since I started Lagrou Partners in Australia with the mindset and then the activities of sales and business development people. And again, one of the programs that has gone again and again and again, proven itself to get exceptional results, is Perform at Your Best. One thing, again, it goes to self-direction. Goals. We know the importance of goals, but however, how often do we have bankers who connect business goals that were pre-given by their senior to also combine them with personal goals and fuse them together? Now, what happens when business goals given by somebody else, which theoretically are not ours, fuse with personal goals, and then somehow have a byproduct? The product of that is that they're suddenly motivation, purpose, and passion. There's a big drive to do, exceed, and excel at it. Why? Because there's personal interest in it this time, not just directions given by somebody else. The first thing is alienating, the other one is somehow becoming self. So personal leadership is a key strategic initiatives to develop amongst your troops. Once you do, you'll be amazed at the result. We have seen people who easily would double their annual revenue just by simply taking a new approach into their business development. Second strategic initiatives is to come up with a 3D snapshot of your salespeople, your business development people, your relationship managers, and so on. Why is this important? Through my work as a psychologist, or let's say my qualifications as a Belgian psychologist, as well as my extensive experience in 40 countries working with business development and salespeople in a number of industries, including financial services and banking, one of the key things is, or the questions that I always like to get asked or answered by, are the following three. First thing, how will a person sell? Because if I don't know this thing, I don't even know why it is that a person is being successful with one particular type of client and being very unsuccessful with another type of clients. We know that we can profile our clients, but typically people will sell to people who are very similar to them, which means suddenly about 50 to 75% of the other clients they come across, they will be less effective with. So answering the question, how will people sell, means also what will they need in order to sell more effectively to those who they fail to sell to right now. The second question that we need to answer is what will make the person motivated enough to sell. Now, when you are here watching and you are a manager of X amount of bankers, the way that you hold your people accountable, the way that you inspire them, that you coach them, that you train them, and so on, will highly depend on what will trigger something inside of them to go all the way in order to produce the results that you're looking for. Certain people will be more motivated by social interactions. Other people are highly interested in getting to know more and learn about different ways of going about it. Other people then are motivated by more individualistic things, status, recognition, awards. Others then again are more traditional type of people, and they will be looking for motivators that allow them to be more traditional in their way. Whatever it is, unless you know, you cannot really direct, motivate, inspire, and help people to succeed. So it's really important also for your incentive schemes to use this insight that is answered by the second question, which is what will motivate somebody to sell. Third question, can a person sell? Does that person have the right sales skills? If we look at the major sales skills, which are, for example, prospecting, making first favorable impressions, conducting good needs analysis, then presenting really well, influencing, closing, and creating repeat and referral business. All of these 7 key skills, we can measure those. When is the last time that you measured your staff? It's a very important tool to know exactly how then on the back of that, not just use the information just to know. No, the information is then used to develop tailored training and coaching programs that help your people lift their bar within as little as 3 months. This is what, again, is the second strategic initiative that you can take. Now, the third one is the following. Certified Sales Excellence Program. I've been very privileged, again, as I said, that I've been able to work with organizations in the US, Europe, as well as Australia, and now also more and more outside of those regions as well. Online, we are already servicing people from over 156 countries. And so there's a lot of experiences that we have gathered over the last decade in that sense. And we noticed that certified sales programs have, let's say, the top performers will always be looking for a steady progression, preferably within the same organization. If they can climb the ladder in the same organization, they would like that, especially if they like their bosses, if they like the people they work with, their colleagues, their peers, if they have people that are role models and they can look up to. But certified sales excellence programs help them to have different levels of certification within the organization that allows them to bring out the very best, to also sit in classrooms together with other people who are of the same level, and then gradually climb up the stage to even go on incentive trips, get serious awards and so on, and most importantly, take part in boot camps that expose them to some of the most challenging situations and that help them to bridge the gaps in where right now they know they are losing business. If your business is bleeding right now and certain situations your bankers are less successful at dealing with, those would be the exact purpose of boot camps as part of a general encompassing sales excellence program, certified. Now, notice that I am aware that many banks have snippets of these things, but most of the times there is cracks in the systems, and I know that you are very aware of those as well. So the point is really, or the opportunity is, to come with a fully holistic program and then leverage that to the benefit of both your staff, yourself as an executive or manager, the bank, and obviously all the stakeholders which are your clients outside of the business. So this is exactly where certified sales excellence programs can go great lengths. One of the things that we, for example, have noticed, the benefits, is that it helps to recruit the best people in the field, to retain those people, to help to get them up to speed more quickly, help them become more productive more rapidly than you ever thought possible. And third, whenever competitors are trying to poach away your best talent, and even are willing to offer them bigger salaries and bigger commissions and so on. The challenge is then, if once this sort of sales excellence program is fully embedded in your organization, you will see that people will not be persuaded by going across, and that you then obviously also keep your best clients as a result of that. It is just a great investment of potentially your marketing dollars or any other dollars, but these are the 3 strategic initiatives that I would like to help you with. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. I hope this video was helpful. I'll be very delighted to meet your acquaintance as soon as you deem fit, and I wish you a great day in the meantime. My name is Bram. All the best. Thank you.